Hello, PX Multifamily people. I am so excited to be here with a special guest today, Burt Wray, who's with Chadwell Supply, but that's not why he's on today. And I hope you'll be okay because I assume most of you know him anyway. He's famous, aren't you, Burt? You're just famous, or is that infamous?
Probably more infamous. Yeah,
Infamous.
yeah, yeah.
Well, he's famous as far as I'm concerned, and you're going to hear a little bit why today as you hear how he has participated in some great efforts on behalf of the people who've been hurt by Hurricane Helene. So if you will just wait for it, wait for it. At the end, I'll tell you more about Burt, or he'll tell more about himself, but I want to get right to the stories he has to tell. So, Burt, you've traveled to the western part of North Carolina and you've seen a lot of the people on the front lines. What has impacted you the most?
Yeah, thanks, Mary. As you can see by, my polo, the Western North Carolina is near and dear to me. It's where I went to college, fell in love with the town of Boone, North Carolina, in the mountains, and every chance I get, I love, there's just a peace and comfort that come with as you're traveling west, whether it's on 421 or Interstate 40. When you see the elevation change of those mountains come in front of you, there's just a piece for me that comes over. So when the storm hit, there was this incredible pull for me that, like, I need to go help. And I know a lot of us have had that same pull. It's just really understanding how and when that you can kind of make those, try to make the path up there and help out who you can. So that opportunity came for me the Wednesday after the storm hit, and um, fortunate enough that number one, I work for an amazing company that says, you need to go, if you need to go help, go help. You know, you've got a phone, we can get in touch with you, whatever the case may be. But the support that I received from Chadwell Supply and folks around me, but got a call Wednesday evening from folks that are connected through my church, and the call was for, we need people that have, it feels like Liam Neeson, right? I have a specific skill set. So folks that know land navigation and backpacking and have medical skills, and from a former life, I'm blessed to have, check all those boxes. So connected with an Army buddy and a few other guys, and we created a couple teams to go up, and we worked through Ashe County, Avery County, because one of the things too that in hearing where all the help was going, there was a hyper focus on Asheville, North Carolina. Rightfully so, right? It's a big population center, a lot of people impacted there, and a lot of the storm hit in that area. But there were, at the time when I got the call, there were still 16 counties in Western North Carolina that hadn't received any kind of outside support or aid. So that was, that's all I needed to hear. So we went and started in Ashe County, worked through Avery County, Yancey County, and got to see a lot of, the devastation. But that's the long way to your answer of what I really got to witness was the best of humanity and the things that make us, not just in this industry of multifamily that you and I love so dearly, but to see on display how we were created to be in community and how community takes care of itself. And, to hear that there's 16 counties that groups like FEMA or any other federal agency haven't, or state agency haven't yet touched, yet the neighbors were all there helping each other out. So as I went to go, prepared for the worst, it was it was tough to find the people that needed the help where we were. So we stopped in. We had mapped out the different volunteer fire departments in those counties, and so we just made a plan to go kind of like frog leap, volunteer fire department to volunteer fire department, and because those folks know their community well, and like, well, where are the areas that you can't get to, and so they would give us a road, and by the time we got to the road, the folks we checked on were letting us know that they'd already been checked on a couple of times that day already. So,
Wow.
which is it's great that in a time of tragedy like that, it's a blessing having a hard time finding people to help. Even though we were there for that job, but I'm just grateful that we were struggling to find it. So, but the help again, everyone's out of their homes. The Yellow Jackets were nuts. That was one of the things that would always stand out to me was just the Yellow Jackets were everywhere. Even when we stopped in Wilkesboro on the way up, you could still see them everywhere, but all their homes were destroyed too. So they were a little, just kind of out of sorts. But the Yellow Jackets, but when you're in the middle of a mountain road and you're just cutting trees off the road, and all of a sudden this amazing young lady shows up and she's got pulled pork sandwiches to give us to eat for lunch. So it's, in an area where we're worried about there's no power, there's no water, there's no internet, and, folks are dealing with all these issues with trees down. But thank God for North Carolina, and there's still pulled pork sandwiches. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's just amazing. And um, gosh, thank you for being one of those early responders. And speaking of early responders, I'm on an industry call that you're on that started out, I think, every day, and now it's twice a week, and will go on until everybody's home is restored. And your company has been a first responder. And so tell a little bit about what you all saw as greatest needs and what your company's response has been to it.
Well, I don't think it's as much about necessarily what we see. It's listening and being present enough to, like, we all have busy lives, right? Um, but if I can back this up, this kind of collaboration across leadership, the first time I can remember something like this happening was during COVID, right? I
Yeah.
remember, I think, March of 2020, April of 2020, as everything in the world's closing down, we as a leadership, local leadership, and really, grateful for John Louder's leadership in this, brought us together so that we could start talking about how are we going to, like, this is uncharted waters, right? We've been blessed to not go through a pandemic before, so how can we do it? It's not in our, we busted our handbooks and look through the pages, it's not there. So that collaborative environment, we never had that in multifamily before, right? You were running your company no different than, you know, other multifamily leaders are running their company as owners or operators. And it was just, we all kind of stayed in our lanes. But now it was this first time that we all kind of leaned in on each other. And this is another opportunity that, because we knew the power of that experience, we could do it again and come together to help out all of our neighbors in Western North Carolina. So really, it was about listening, and then understanding our capability, like what are our strengths as, a supplier partner to multifamily. And the biggest strength that we have to help immediately is our distribution network. You know, our slogan is your order, our truck next day. So we've designed ourselves as a company to bring what you and our multifamily partners need to your communities. So it was just an opportunity to, just kind of shift the product from the parts and pieces that we generally use to turn an apartment or just, repair HVAC equipment, to, like, getting those essential needs into the hands of the residents in Western North and the staff. That's another thing that, we get so hyper focused on the residents, but our team members, our staff members were victims of this same tragedy. And, like, to me, they're the real heroes in this whole ordeal, and they continue to be. But we immediately, I think that first call, there was a question about Hatching Hope, and, you know, again, serving a God that creates opportunity for us to take care of our neighbors. we just so happened to move our warehouse earlier this year. So we still had a lease on our old warehouse. So when Hatching Hope called and said, we need warehouse space to stage our goods so that we can start building these care packages for Western North Carolina, beautiful. We have 58,000 square feet totally empty that we have a lease on until the end of the year. So, these things just aligned perfectly and allowed us to be really just recipients of, you know, we're just kind of the vessels to make it happen. We're not really making it happen. So, just grateful to be in that position.
I love that you talked about the collaboration and referred back even to our collaboration during COVID. But again, now I love that, a lot of these folks, we compete head to head, and yet it was wonderful hearing somebody from one company after a week, she had hot water and got her first shower. But on the call, she offered her hot water to anybody in the area who worked in the industry and their residents. I mean, that's just amazing. And again, it happened because we're an industry that, yeah, we're competitors, friendly competitors, but we're also, we tend to get real servant leaders in our industry. And your company, again, opening that warehouse up, it was collaboration, but it was also servant leadership. You didn't hold it out. You gave that space, and that was wonderful. I want to rat you out a little bit more on this morning's call. It was amazing to me, the industry collaborative call. There was a plea for bringing in more clean water. And I think of you as Burt, the one with his hand raised first. You're the first to raise your hand. And sure enough, immediately you raised your hand and said, "Hey, I have a truck, and I'll load it up and take it anywhere you tell me to go." And that is so amazing. Talk to me about that. That's just an amazing, wonderful servant leadership.
It's yeah, thank you. Servant leadership is not when you get to finally lay out your skills, and I joke with people that I ended up in sales because I have no marketable skills. And I keep doing such a bad job at whatever role that Chadwell Supply keeps promoting me. So they get me out of the way. So they give me this leadership role. But
He's
um,
humble too, y'all, listeners. He's
I
very
learned,
humble.
yeah, I learned a long time ago, that service is really my purpose. And 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 when you live within your purpose and you act accordingly, all the good things kind of flow behind it. And it's one of those things that you put your yes on the table, and then you figure out where that yes that you give first is going to take you. And today was just another example of how it's not me saying yes that's the beauty. It's what comes out of it. And like I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. So we go on that call. There's a need for more drinking water. And, I do, because I'm a redneck from North Carolina. I have a truck, I have a trailer. I can carry, and I'm good at carrying stuff. And if you need water, I can make it happen. But more than what I can make happen, we got off of that call, and then I get a Teams call from our director of procurement. And we had a truck, our normal delivery, we sell bottled water, and our truck that was delivering, or our supplier that delivered our bottled water to our distribution center in Columbus, Ohio, made a mistake. I don't believe it was a mistake because coincidences don't exist. But so this tractor trailer gets there, and it's an entire trailer full of water that's not labeled correctly because we put our little Chadwell Supply label around it so that we can sell and distribute it. And because they made the mistake, they're saying, "Look, you just keep the water. We don't want it back, and we'll ship you out another truck to go to your distribution center." Well, we go from a call at 8 a.m. and we've got all these communities that need water to now we have a tractor trailer of water that's coming to Charlotte, and now we just distribute it. So working with our branch manager and working with Brian in Western North Carolina, and we're figuring out how we can best distribute and drop pallets at a time off at these communities that need it. So again, it was like, hey, I can do this much, but you know, I'm I'm led by someone who has the opportunity to do, has unlimited potential. And that's, I think we're seeing that happen every day in the midst of, you know, I don't want to gloss over the fact of the true devastation. I mean, absolute devastation in Western North Carolina. Um, I've got images and videos and memories like just of driving through and like entire valleys wiped out. But like we're humans are strong, we're resilient, and sometimes we need the test, we need the challenge to remind ourselves of that resiliency that we have. And I think that's a lot of where we are. But like lives will forever be changed. The mountains will forever be different. Physically, so like spiritually, everything. I mean, the topography is different.
Yeah.
Property lines are different if they even exist now. So it's absolute devastation, but there's a beauty in how we are all coming together, as an industry specifically, but as a community as a whole.
I love that. And what a, you can't make that up, how that came together, that synergy, hearing that people have water. It's just they can't drink it, they can't clean with it, they can flush with it, which is great. But then that call for bringing the real drinkable, potable water, and you raise your hand, as I said, and then others raise their hand, and just all those things come together. It's just an amazing story. And you probably, because you have been so much on front lines, you probably have other stories of things you've seen people do and respond. Can you share some of those stories with us?
Yeah, I have some, but there's something that's amazing about the just simply being present. Um, and I just want to talk about the just heroic nature of what our teams do, your teams, right?
Mhm.
I was fortunate to lead some of these teams in a former life, but our on-site teams do a they provide a level of care and a level of just amazing effort and work to take care of their residents that we always talk about multifamily being it's a truly unique industry. There's nothing else like it professionally, where
Mhm.
we work in people's homes and they reside in our workplaces, and it's just different. And I said it before, but I don't think there's anything more heroic than someone who goes and works in the midst of their own tragedy, right? So all of our teams that work on site in the communities in Western North Carolina, um, they live there. It's their home. And a lot of them live in the areas that were impacted even worse than where they work. Yet we're calling on them to lead the effort, lead the communication, to be the calm in the storm, to continue to push information to their residents and help them through their stuff. So number one, I just want to give a shout out to all the community managers, the regional managers, the assistant managers, the leasing professionals, the maintenance supervisors, the technicians, the regional maintenance directors, everyone that's been out there that are the true boots on the ground, that when their own home has been upset, they're taking their time making sure they get onto their community to cut trees away, to
Mhm.
remove barricades, limbs off of roofs, and not your roofs, because I'm probably sure your insurance company doesn't allow that. So it never happened in your communities, but there are some that happen. But Look, the best story I can tell is the story that's really happens every day with or without the tragedy of Hurricane Helene, which is what our teams do day in, day out
Yes.
to just make everyone's apartment unit a home. So
Yeah. Thank you for that, Bert. I definitely know that we do life with our residents. It's so different. You go to Belk or wherever, you do a transaction, you leave, but we live with our residents. We do life with them. We go through some of their toughest and some of their greatest things, and yet we serve every day. I love that you gave a shout out to those folks who work on site every day. It's amazing. You and I talked briefly about something that's concerning to us, which is all these wonderful first responses are needed, they're important, but you and I see that it's sort of the tip of the iceberg. That on the call we were on this morning, they were talking about hurricane relief funds from a prior hurricane a couple of years back, and it's just now seeing some of the funds from the state organizations. Can you tell me how you view sort of the next steps, or how you view the long term for this?
yeah, that's. I wish I could have the answer for you because I think if I had the answers, then we'd be in a much better place. But there's so many different layers and levels to what the fix is going to be, right? It's all going to be different stages. So you look at, okay, what's the federal help that's coming in? What's the state help that's coming in? What private help is coming in? I mean, we had some amazing artists that hosted a concert in Charlotte on 28 days of planning, and they raised $24.5 million. And that combined with what Governor Cooper has committed in some of the immediate relief bills that have come in, and we're sitting at about 10% of what Governor Cooper estimates the total $534 billion. I think
Mm.
they estimate in this thing. So um, you're right. So we talk about first responders all the time, but who are the second responders? And that's the great unknown. Is like, what's next? And the things we're talking about on the call, it's everything from like, what's going to happen to our resident population? Are we going to see some form of an exodus from Asheville, North Carolina, which has been nationally one of the highest, you know, most developing, best economies on a national level, and a huge attraction for people of all, from entrepreneurs to young business people, all the way to retirees. It's been attractive for everybody. And, I believe Asheville hasn't changed, and we'll get there eventually. But how do you get from where we are right now to where we were, 4 weeks ago, 4.5 weeks ago? And um, I don't know. But one thing I know is we're going to have to continue to collaborate and share our pains, like if I'm a owner, manager, leader, executive, and I see what's happening in my community, I've got to be willing to raise my hand and say I need help, and create the channels through our advocacy. I mean, we do an amazing job across our local affiliates and our state department association, our lobbying team. We've got some lobbyists that work within our organization that they're the best they're best in the world. I don't know
I've lost your sound for a moment. Is it me, or is it?
now.
You're back. Yay, Bert.
Turn it off, turn it back on. I was just saying the network that we've built through our efforts within our government affairs committees, our lobbying teams, we have connections with the legislators, we have influence. And that's really the most important thing that we can do as an association, is make sure that we're passing the word. So as our leaders raise their hand and they need help, we know the channels to get them the help that they're looking for. So, but it's going to be, there's going to be building code issues. There's going to be permitting issues. There's going to be, funding issues. And that's on top of, we still got to get the water working. So
Wonderful. Well, I know this, Burt, as things go forward, I know you'll still be in there and you'll be raising your hand to help. I just know that's true. I want to thank you today for being on PX Multifamily, where we talk about those things that really matter to people, whether it's our employees, our residents, our supplier partners, our clients. We care about the people experience in multifamily, and I can hear you do that. And everyone, I want to tell you a little bit more about Burt Wray, who does serve in so many different ways. He does serve the Apartment Association of North Carolina, both as a board member, but also in government affairs, trying to make sure we as an industry make sure our voice is heard on behalf of our clients and our residents. He is the Regional Vice President of National Accounts for Chadwell Supply, and they're a supplier of maintenance and repair supplies to the multifamily industry. He's been with them since 2013. I know you didn't think he was old enough, but he has done so much for our industry, including he trains, he speaks at various apartment associations, affordable housing management associations, and for different owner-operators across the country. He began his career in multifamily in 2005, and he worked in affordable housing, which, if any of you have, that is quite the place to cut your teeth. His role expanded quickly with communities, 11 communities in North Carolina and Virginia, and he's kept his commitment to the industry well beyond his relationship with Chadwell Supply, but leading different roles. And I've enjoyed getting to hear him contribute and raise his hand on different industry calls about this specific Hurricane Helene recovery. And I want to throw out there too that prior to his multifamily career, Burt served in the military, and he continues to support military members and their families as a board member of the USO of North Carolina. And he cooks and he works out. He has this huge grill that we get to see pictures of, but he also serves people with that grill. Now, and what is that grill? It's some
it's
great big.
the Blackstone, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, a Blackstone. And he seems to cook healthy too. So, Burt, oh no, not so healthy.
Ish.
Healthy-ish.
Yeah.
Well, Burt, before we close, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Just that when you're hearing this, not if you hear this, but when you're hearing this, just consider, anything that you can do to help. There's so many different valuable organizations and credible organizations that whether it's contributions directly to Western North Carolina through, just reach out if you need a list of 10, 15, 20 different organizations that are helping out. But I've got to do a plug here for PAC dollars, like supporting your different, whether it's in your own state. We'd love to have it in North Carolina, but those dollars help us spread the message that helps support this industry and get the help where it's most needed. So all I can ask for is, your prayers for those affected are great, but at some point you have to take action, step out and help out. So please do. And thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much for being a guest on PX Multifamily.
My pleasure.